goes north, just before we get to the Petrified Forest. It's a
sandstone at some point. We're going to drive through it, I think.
okay, roadside geology of New Mexico. Raspberries.
Yeah. Not quite ready?
No, I mean.
Can we call down and we'll just load it on the cart?
Okay. Yeah, just dial 3 and I'll come up and get it, okay?
Okay.
I'll leave
We're
my
trying to
door
get all of our
stopped.
maps
Yeah, I'll be
installed,
right
our
back.
topographic
We'll just
maps,
leave that
onto
here
our
and load it.
GPS unit, so we'll know where we are in the park.
Okay, just dial 3.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like it's finished.
It's been a time or two, I wonder what you do if I decide I would never come home. Cause when I say out late, you're always wide awake, just a cussing and a carrying on. There's no need to explain, no, I'm always to blame. Can't you see I got nothing to lose? Don't think me, hey, just think the booze. You think you know what I do, things I do. Running around all over, chasing girls and swilling booze. Well, I was born with a mean, wicked, wandering eye, and I've been trying to drink myself blind. Thank boo-hoos, honey, I'm still in love with you. I know you're gonna die when you're praying at night, but honey, I really wonder what you do. You look to chase me around all over town, even though I'm only having a few. You think the drink cause I'm sticking, and you wish that I was leaving. It's like how it looks to you. Don't think me, hey, just think.
It's going pretty well. We're stopping to eat, gestate, and we can see our rocks that we're interested in, and we're about to cross over into Arizona and gain an hour. So we can eat sooner. Again.
Completely crashed, so if I'm going to call, or somebody's going to call the guy at the
Do you want my
ranch,
phone?
Yeah, I'm going to need somebody else's phone, and I'm going to need...
You want to charge that up? We've got a charger.
The charger's in my green.
We already told him the buyer's just sitting his truck out, and he's going to pick him up tomorrow morning.
So where do you hold them?
Right there in the pen.
Oh, you got a holding pen there?
The calves are in that pasture in the corner.
I do.
Yeah, it's got a sloping pasture in the front. If you did it with a rigid foundation closed horse, you wouldn't make it. Arabian's got a flex pasture, so you need that shocker to feel right up there. Shoulders. Yep, about a 50-degree angle, nothing steeper. When we do hoof trimming here, that's what we're teaching. We teach all these guys, you just don't trim it. You trim it and measure it and angle it and make it natural. So that way, when we take you guys on a pack trip, you don't have to worry about the horse blowing the tendon out.
That's a good thing. It's an art and a science.
Let me get the calendar. And I had it up in my vet room, but telling everybody all the cowboys about.
You get to ride much?
You know what? I stay so busy doing other things. You know, and I've been staying busy trying to find a way to get things to grow out here. Probably going gardening. Well, you see everything's in a container. You know, the soil out here is a little bit different.
Oh, do I see strawberries out there?
Yeah, put strawberries in the container.
Okay, so we're gonna be there at 7 a.m. We got that, and we got the maps. And just so everybody, because what we don't want, what I don't want, is a cowboy getting confused. Once he goes one place, and he pretty well knows, and they can start relaying at their own pace. If she goes ahead, she goes with Gene. He rides fairly quickly. The paint is probably slower, but probably put a little set of spurs on it. But you'll get up there and you'll pick a spot. Then you can come back and see I'm with you. So then she can say, well, we've picked a spot.
Have her ride the paint.
So I don't go wandering.
Right.
And then you're trying to catch, so everybody's kind of coordinated together.
Well, I was never one for heavy thoughts of school, and my mama begged me please to settle down. Well, I told her that I would, but I was fooling. Lord knows I can't resist the traveling sound, because that old motor's humming, them old guitars strumming, leaving behind all we know. Well, it's just big highway, hey, for the next several days. Lord, I was born for the road, because it's whiskey for breakfast, whiskey at the show. Hold back, we'll have another round.
When we
Will
get
I
there,
ever quit drinking? Lord, I don't know, but it's whiskey for breakfast on the
it'll
road.
be in that.
Jackie, there's more than you think about smoking that item.
I'll call you. Brother Luke. Brother Luke. Okay, let's try 2.
You know what I'm thinking though? One of those saddle horses are pretty good. We could throw this one over a saddle horse. Or tie it down to the back of a saddle, like my roping saddle. Like Chicky. Tie it onto the back with these loops.
Let them follow.
Huh?
Let them follow.
No, I'll ride the horse with this attached to the back of the saddle. Ring it like this. Tie it right up to the back of my saddle. Well, people just quit calling me. George, tell people to quit calling me. Hello. Yeah.
We're at the Padres Mesa Ranch, where Bill Inman and his people are going to help us get our gear and our water and ourselves out to the Chindi Mesa up in the northern part of the park. And in order to do that, we're going to have to use horses, and in order to show them where we need to go, I'm going to have to ride a horse along with the pack horses and the wranglers. And before they'll let me do that, they have to check out whether I can really ride a horse or I'm just saying I can ride a horse. So I guess the next thing that happens is they give me their biggest bucking bronco and see if I can stay on.
Padre Ranch, and we're talking to Bill Inman here. We're going to be a little while longer because we're to see if Kate can ride a horse. So we can do that tomorrow. We should be there, I'm guessing, in the next, I don't know, 45 minutes.
I asked a sailor man what he could tell me about the sea. I asked an astronaut what she could tell me about the moon.
You think we count as a bus?
No. Couldn't be parked next to that white truck there.
My name is Bill Parker. I'm the paleontologist here at Petrified Forest National Park. I met Robin Whatley in 2002. She was working in the Moenkopi Formation with Sterling Nesbitt, and he had found some rhynchosaur material, which she was interested in. She did her graduate work on, and we are actually helping Sterling excavate a Triassic animal called Arizonosaurus, which was a big sail-backed carnivorous form called a Rawasuchian. Picture like a large, more upright crocodile with a T-Rex head on it, and that's what these guys were like. And Arizonosaurus was neat because it had the transverse processes, or the neural spines of the vertebral column, were really elongate, so it almost had like a sail on its back. That's older rocks than here. That's Middle Triassic stuff that's found underneath us here at the park. Kay I met last year because of this work. So they had been working up in the Jurassic rocks looking for signs of some of the earliest mammals, and decided that might be a good idea to come down into the Triassic and see if they can find some of the earliest mammals here, because there have been some very tantalizing fossils found in similar rocks in the Triassic of Texas. One of the reasons they want to work here is because it's a national park. National parks were set aside for preservation of resources, but also for scientific research. So one of my jobs is to facilitate researchers who want to work here and do scientific research. We try to help them out any way we can. And plus, we do our own research here in the park. We're one of the few Park Service areas that actually has a paleontologist on staff, and we actually do active research here. We go out and we do our own digs, find our fossils. We have a fossil preparation lab here. We clean them up, and we actually publish the research that's generated here. All that research goes back and is put into our interpretive programs, our exhibits, for the visitors to enjoy and to learn more about the fossils of the Triassic.
Do you think there's going to be much success in us finding anything?
I think so. I think they had really good success last year. The rock unit that they're looking in is called the Owl Rock Member. And in other parts of Arizona, it's highly fossiliferous, although the outcrops here are of a limited extent. And they're kind of remote, as you're going to figure out. And nobody had really spent much time looking up there. Well, last year, Kate and Robin spent just a couple days up there and found a whole bunch of new fossil localities with bones. So I know they're really excited. I'm really excited about them continuing that work, and hopefully they'll have a lot of luck this year, too.
It's a bad deal when one of those cows gets stuck in those cattle guards.
It looks like it could break their leg.
I ran across one that was stuck going up to landing out of Red Canyon for a resupply right out in the middle of the road. I can't lift the cow. And I tried to see if I could get its leg up enough to ran to the landing and called the sheriff. When we came back, the cow wasn't there anymore, so didn't see any blood. I don't know if we got it out without killing it or what.
Between 500 and 600 pounds.
as part of the initiation, I guess you could say, or at least
Yeah, we were saying.
certification that the Smithsonian paleontologists can actually ride a horse. I went out with him for about 2 hours, rounding up 90 head of 7-month-old cows, some steers and some female, and it was really, really great. It took a little while to get used to the horse's gaits and where to ride, and at one point I went around a hill. He told me there were 2 cows on the other side, and I actually should have asked him if it was okay, I think, to go over there, but I went over there and I chased the cows, and then they disappeared, so it was like maybe I chased them in the wrong direction. But it turned out that they just headed down the road and we picked them up later. But the cows were very sneaky. They had, some of them were hiding in the juniper bushes, and they weren't just all ready to go quietly.
So it is.
This is it.
Okay, what's the number?
9. Number 9.
Number 9. Number 9. Oh, there's parking.
Do you see number 9?
I see 4.
Keeps going down that way. They got a whole block here.
Yeah.
6,
4.
7.
Must be on the other side.
Yeah.
Nothing over there.
I can't really see behind me at all.
I'm not sure.
This is the Painted Desert Inn we're standing in front of, an adobe that was built in 1915 and then rebuilt by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s, and it was closed and opened and closed, and it's recently been renovated and reopened to the public. It used to be an inn and restaurant that people stayed in. This is the staging area for our trip tomorrow.
So this is our collection of stuffs from Safeway and Alco, and now we're combining it into smaller bags so that we can more easily fit it in the pack horses. So this is our reduction step.
Number 2.235.
I'm sure not the last one.
Plastic tent sticks. You need those, right?
I might too. I've got to check mine. But
okay, give me an idea how many we need. 12, 24.
12. I mean, they're
I'll get 12.
Yeah, because I mean, if you use them you don't have to use them the whole.
If it's really windy, you're going to want to use every available
rock.
Well, there's rocks, but you're going to want to use every available loop that you've got. But I'm going to put down 12 and hope.
It's getting a little messy. Yes.
I know Kay from work in Ethiopia at the fossil site of Hadar, where hominin species Australopithecus afarensis is found, that I do most of my research on. And I also have been at the Smithsonian doing independent research for my PhD while Amelia was doing her internship. And so we spent a lot of time with Kay there. Out of this trip, mostly I'm just looking to learn something about a new time period that I know basically nothing about. This is much older than the fossils I work with in Ethiopia. So just looking to learn something about a new time period and gain some experience at a fossil site closer to home.
Okay. I think we're more or less good.
I met Kay through an internship at the Smithsonian where I did a project on comparing modern species of impala to extinct species of impala to see if using the modern species you can determine whether climate change affects their
Give it a go with
the shape
that
and
one and I'll
size
see if
of
these
their
work.
horns.
This one works. Do that one again? Okay, these will work.
How about that one?
Go.
Yep. Okay, call back to me.
Check.
What about that one? Does that one work?
Yeah, this one's one we were using a second ago.
But you didn't call back to me?
Let's try it.
You put it on what channel?
2.
Okay.
Oops.
No, that's not paleo bond. That's the name of the company. But this is Butvar B72. Many preparators consider it the gold standard of adhesives because it can be reversed. My position being that if you're careful, nothing needs to be reversed.
In the honky tonks I frequent, just waiting for time to die. Last call for alcohol always comes as a surprise. So I reach deep in my pocket, empty as yesterday, and I pull up a bar stool, bow my head to pray. Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord.
Typically, the teeth of some of the early mammals, which is pretty much the holy grail, would be about a quarter the size of a match head. And as they erode out to the surface through gravity, they'll have a tendency to slide down slope. As we've seen here in the last few days with 60-mile-an-hour winds, they can just be blown and covered in dust, and it's almost impossible to see them on the surface. You have to find some sort of other indicator to bring you in to the rock. As you uncover the rock, if you're lucky and you split it open, you might start finding signs that there are animals of some sort present, and if you're very fortunate, you'll find a little mammal or something totally unexpected. It's just a matter of searching, observation, good deal of luck.
Fill in the water bucket for the horses when they come back up.
Down to sleep, I pray the Lord. One more drink, I can't help. Whiskey shooting through me. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord gives me a break. If I get loud, sometimes I'm unruly. When the spirits move me.
cage horse. Good. What? Now go around that pavement, go down, and go up. Follow on. Know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Round this. Don't go on that slick stuff. He doesn't have no boring shoes on. Go around this piece up, go like right around there, get that dirt. Let him show up my horse. That pea gravel really hard on it. Thank God we got a marathon guide that goes up and down these hills like that.
Yeah, you see him way out there?
See you guys on Tuesday.
Glued your fingers together.
Actually, we'll see you on we'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't want
Any last words for us? Any?
Okay.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Don't die. Find fossils.
This is the start. Make sure you photograph me when I crawl in at the end. Probably on my hands and knees, clawing my way. You see how far we have to go? Most paleontologists like the search. And what they're searching for essentially is a quarry where they can dig in and split rocks. They rather loathe that aspect when they're sitting in a hole, making big rocks into little rocks, splitting it. But that's what they're searching for. It's a sort of a conundrum. They're searching for what they don't like to do.
Robin.
I think it's tough people just stand out here in this old country and just carve on a rock.
This is an ant nest out here in the desert, and if you look at the surface of the nest, you can see that the little rocks are all pretty much the same size. And this is a great thing for paleontologists because the ants will actually do some of our work for us. Often, if there are fossil sites nearby, the ants will collect fossils, teeth if you're lucky, that are about the same size as the rocks on the surface of their nest. Teeth and small pieces of bone, fossil bones. And they use these to insulate their nest. So the ants are actually doing some of our work for us, and we can come along and we can look very carefully on the surface of the ant nest. And sometimes you can pick out just tiny, I thought I saw something right in here. I'd have to look pretty closely. Sometimes you can just scoop off a bit of the surface and look through these rocks, and you can find teeth and bones, fossil teeth and bones. And this is an amazing way to actually look for the fossil teeth and bones of very small animals. This is from a living owl. There were no owls in the Triassic when we're looking, but we might be finding some regurgitants or regurgitates from other animals, maybe small dinosaurs or other animals that are perhaps not able to digest the bones and hair just the way that the owls cannot. So to find something that's fossilized like this would be incredibly good. Hello. How are you? Did a bag fall off back there?
Huh?
Did a bag fall off? How are you doing?
So you see some up here in the top, the cross bedding from sandstone that was deposited in the water. Then you can see the irregular topography down here below where an old channel has cut out the lower laminar deposits that were at the bottom.
It was a good day, successful day, because we've got all our gear, we're in camp. It took pretty much the whole day for the horses. I think we're where we want to be. Now we have to see if there are any fossils.
And the walk was only about 3.5 hours, a little bit less, and it was really easy. Piece of cake. Great. Got here, we have a great campsite.
Weather's good.
Weather's beautiful. We have a fantastic view on both sides.
The painted desert is wild and riotous colors.
Lots of possibilities for fossils. Well, we're gonna walk up to this ridge and explore around on the top of the ridge and just below it, and walk to the east, and then probably down to an area that looks blue on the satellite image that looks very interesting and potentially good for fossils. So we'll come down that way, and then probably at the end of the day across the front of the ridge and back up to camp.
I left home when I was 17. Sweating in the factories what made me mad. Got a good girl at home, you know she waits for me. When I finally make $1, I'ma buy that ring. You know I traded my savior for misery. So I'll never get to heaven, but that's fine with me. No, I'll never know salvation, but this hell I've seen is all I could afford with these broken wings. So relieve the pressure, break through the line. Shell out your dollars for dreams. We'll keep 'em up in heaven, see if you could ever catch 'em. All I could afford with these broken wings. All I could afford with these broken wings. Between the battle and the travel, I ain't got no home. And I ain't ever had nothing for to call my own. Yeah, I've been working every day since before I was grown. But there's a fire building up in these worn out bones. I keep a Bible with a bottle in an old junk drawer. And that seems to be the reason I don't read no more. Yeah, I ain't ever been an angel ever since I told those old broken wings on that barroom door. So relieve the pressure, break through the line, shell out your dollars for dreams. We'll keep 'em up in heaven, see if you could ever catch 'em. All I could afford were these broken wings. All I could afford were these broken wings. Break through the line, shell out your dollars for dreams. We'll keep 'em up in heaven, see if you could ever catch 'em. All I could afford were these broken wings. All I could afford were these broken wings. Gave it all I got in return, it's sweet. All I could afford were these broken wings.
You are expressing a nipple or something.
Oh wait, come and look at the cheese.
The Army.
Oh, this is horrible.
Expressing a pimple. Now I'm going to eat the pimple. It's been in there a long time, you can tell.
It's got a definite shape. Nasty. Today was fantastic. We went up to the top of this ridge behind us, the highest ridge, and I don't know if you can see that on the very top there's one little tiny bush on the edge up there. Might be a little bit hard to see. And there's a hard layer there, a calcrete layer, and just above that there's a excuse me, a pellet conglomerate that has fragments of bone and teeth in them. And we had found a site just on top of that ridge last year, and we followed that site around and we found 7 new sites today with fragments of bone, with complete teeth, fragments of teeth, and so it was a great day. 7 new fossil sites in an area that fossils were not known from before last year when we were here.
How do you feel about today?
I'm excited to see the blue layer.
Me too. But we're also going to go, here, I'll show you, along this amazing set of outcrops. So we're here, we're going to walk all the way around. Here's the blue layer, which is a channel fill, I think, because it is discontinuous. That means an ancient channel filled up with sediment, and it's bluish because it probably was waterlogged and had a lot of organic material in it. And that's the kind of place we find fossils in the lower part of the section here in the Chinle. But we're not sure that that's going to be the way it is in the upper part, so that's exciting. But all along here there could be fossils.
bullshit.
I think the rocks go to your head are probably.
Rocks over your head about to start falling. Follow your hand. Stop it. You hit me in the eye.
I didn't hit you in the eye.
Yes, you did. It bounced right off my eyebrow. My girlfriend is such a jerk sometimes.
Stop. There's no way to help them.
They told us to go eat lunch.
So we're thinking that the Painted Desert might be, see that highest hill there? Sort of about a quarter of the way from the left-hand edge of the top. There's something shiny there.
Time of painting beating slow, with a hard and heavy load, slowly rolling down the long and lonesome road. I'm a man of mind and might, full of blood and full of spite. I'm an old freight train just wailing in the night for a small donation's day. I'll bring sinners to their knees. I'm a man of God, but a businessman, you see. In small towns you will find some. Swear to God I speak in tongues, and they'll eagerly pay up when God has given my lungs.
Are you throwing rocks at me? Do you want me to fall off the hill?
One can resist when I'm up in those lights, and I'm just a poor Christian soldier, just fighting for my piece of paradise. And I'm driven by survival, the church ain't in revival. I help pious pretty girls through things tempting trials, and when darkness comes around.
Kay, do you think this is worth marking?
Well, you should have a look, but it's a piece of a snail.
One piece of snail?
We could just do a waypoint. Not. we're all not colorblind. I've known geologists who are colorblind. They couldn't tell the red rocks from the gray rocks. We couldn't tell the beautiful blue-green fossils from the sediment if we were colorblind. We're interested in the beds over here where the blue-gray comes down sharply and goes back up, and then it actually goes down again and comes back up. And that looks like a channel that was cut into the red sediments, which are pre-existing floodplain deposits or maybe some pond deposits, but they were all oxidized red. And then this channel came in, cut down, so that means the water table and the base level was lowered temporarily. And then filled back up, and it looks like it was cut maybe 4 or 5 meters and then filled back up 4 or 5 or 6 meters. And the green color indicates that the water was probably reducing, had organics in it, and that got fixed in a reduced iron mineral that's greenish compared to the oxidized iron that's out on the sides and below. There's also an interesting red layer above that ledge, which we can see from up on top goes for many, many kilometers around, and that is a soil that probably doesn't preserve fossils, but it's interesting how homogeneous the environment must have been then. Like a landscape, very flat landscape. Probably there were plants, lots of plants, but it's not likely we'll find bones there, because in the soil the bones get digested by all the organisms before they can fossilize. So we can't go any further than this fence because we're on the boundary of the Navajo reservation, but at least we can have a look at it from here. Changing film, my antique camera. I didn't have this last year. Oh no. Up there? I thought the main sites were down here. No. One more over.
together what you don't have. Fairly important to start at the bottom, because as you work up, you disturb the soil. It's hard to go back and see things after you've disturbed the surface. But you never know until you actually try to excavate it to find out what you've got. You can see why we start at the bottom. You can see where my footstep just covered everything up.
The fossils are just so tiny. But there's great potential for really interesting teeth and bones in here. We just have to be able to see them.
Color chart. It's called a one-cell color chart. None of these are a perfect match, but the grayish red purple is closer. More purple than that. These are all standardized color chips. And I think that at least it's fairly close to that. It's 5RP42. That way, you know, one person's purple is another person's red, and this standardizes the color. Now this sediment texture is what I put first. And that is kind of a silty clay. It's pretty fine. And I'm going to say purple gray, because that's what I remember. And then the next thing you do is chew it. See how much clay is in it if you can get some of it to melt a little bit. And you rub it until it dries out between your fingers. And if it's got clay, it will form these little strings, just like a kid. Clay. It passed. It doesn't have any obvious solvent, but it's fairly gritty.
Hazards of doing paleontology work on these kinds of hills is that you get this in your shoes all the time.
Every time you find anything, a scrap or a good piece, you record that on the sheet. So we keep a scrap tally for things that are not identifiable, but the point is to do a kind of survey that records everything that's there, so you know there are no biases in the collecting when you later tally up the number of different kinds of bones, the number of different kinds of animals. So if you do both, then you can get the most out of the collecting, because you'll be able to control for any biases and also pick up kinds of animals that sometimes people ignore, like fish and crocodiles, or small things versus large things. And you don't have to pick up everything, of course. You pick up the good things, you mark them, you can come back and do an excavation. And if you come to a really rich patch, you don't spend all your time on it. You record it as a rich patch, and then you go on. Any more flags you know about? All right. On this area that we thought might not have anything, Robin found a small skute of an unusual looking type that we haven't seen before. And we are in a kind of different environment here at the top of a channel fill, a major channel that filled up, and this would have been kind of a swale near the top of it. And it's worth making a locality here because we want to collect this, even though it's a small fragment. Because it seems to be a different kind of animal, that's really of interest. Also, she's found a fragment of a snail. We haven't seen snails at this level, so the careful searching along one stratum is beginning to pay off, even though it's not richly fossiliferous.
Well, I've been traveling, oh mama, I've been moving from misery to ruin, just a few blocks down the street. And I've been working on perfecting all my habits. I'm sure that I'll stick at it just as long as I can sing. I was never one for honesty or romance. No, I never learned to slow down, right as it might seem.
These are the first clams we've seen that are preserved with both valves together. And that means that they were killed by some sedimentary event before the animals died. I mean, that doesn't make sense, but they were buried before the animals died. The poor clams were transported with a flood, perhaps, and then buried before they had a chance to decay. Because if they decay, the two shells pop apart right away, as soon as the animal dies. So then you just get individual shells, not together. So this is a mass clam death site. We could call it that. Mass mortality of clams. Quite tragic at the time, but good for paleontology.
If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face when I'm back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face and your back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face when I'm back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face and your back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back.
Well, let's go scare some tourists. Hey, we just found this. No telling how old it is, but we figure, looking at it, that it's some sort of road grader. If you look in the front, there's angled steel plates, and there's another one back here, and two on the other side. And must have been pulled by horses. Hate to think about the poor horses having to pull this. And I don't see where the road is. A lot of people had a lot of big ideas about how to make it rich out here. And most of them came to this.
Figure out what we're going to do with our gear, where we can store stuff, because we have more this year. Last year it was in our office.
Robin rode in, and with Bill.
I was on Pepper, the horse, Larry Shepherd's horse, Gene's brother, and it was great.
Better than walking?
It was beautiful. I think it's one of the nicest mornings I've spent that wasn't fossil hunting in a long time.
We didn't get no horses. No horses for us.
Nope.
Horses for you.
No, we had to climb mountains, fjord, raging rivers,
Dry.
endure sandstorms.
But you made
A
it.
plague of no-see-ums. And she rides. And now she's going to ride off and leave us here.
I'll be back.
What are we, chopped meat or something?
I love you, Bill.
Oh. I'm crying for a beer.
Dude, I'm working on it. I feel positive about that. Okay, now.
Put it all back.
What do you have? What is that there?
This?
Yeah.
Looks like a piece of Adasaur horn.
Here's a weird bone. Oh, yeah.
The species it looks like it from shouldn't be as high as you guys think.
Where does this go? With that? So what's the consensus on that? Weird.
I haven't noticed that.
You haven't seen
You
it?
ready for this? Are you sure? I won't be able to sleep for weeks because this is their Adasaur.
Kind of looks like it might be plant remains.
At first I thought it was fish, and then I was like, no, it doesn't look like bone at all.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of it in a couple different
Could be
places.
plant or something.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you going to show me that's going to... You got me all...
I gotta keep my house in order here. Yeah, look. House is in order. That's alright. I'm tied up.
Yes, it does. That's correct. It's redonda soup.
I'm going to try to
It's
figure
got an
it out.
eventual bark.
Huh?
What?
You got the dog?
Well, you haven't seen something like that before.
Really interesting stuff. I mean, anything they find from that geological member is new, at least to the park. There's only been one other place in the Colorado Plateau where fossils have been found in it and studied, so anything they find out here is new, and a lot of it looked really interesting. We won't know for sure until they get it all cleaned up and unwrapped and stuff, but what we saw right now is really interesting. Well, there was the chunk of plant, and that might be the first plant from that member. Some little reptile bones. Who knows what they are, so we'll compare them to everything else and see what they are. They might even be something new, we never know. We didn't have any fossil localities from that unit at all, and they found 37, so for 37 new sites just from that member alone, just from one trip. So I think the potential out there is shows that it's really strong potential for finding really good stuff.
We're home. We are cataloging all of our specimens, all of our fossils. This is a really important part of what we need to do because we need to have a record of every single fossil from every single locality, both past from last year and new. And these will all go into a report for the Petrified Forest, the final report that's required. This, however, this is probably a rock.
Sometimes I collected things on purpose that were rocks, but
I don't think you collected this.
I don't think so.
I think I collected this. And I think what happened was the wind was blowing so hard that I was afraid if I didn't put it in a gel cap, it would just blow away, and I wanted to be able to look at it later. I think this has been a really tremendous success and a great experience. We have lots of important fossils to show for it, and a lot that we don't even know what we have yet. We're not starving. We didn't die of dehydration. We found lots of new localities, almost, I think, 37, in fact. And there's a lot of potential for future work. So it's great.
Had a great time. I've learned a lot. I think
This is the oldest stuff we worked with ever.
I mean, this stuff is what, 208 million years old, and we've been working in stuff that's more like 2.5 to 3.5 million years old. I don't want to go back home. It's beautiful. I mean, when was the last time we heard any human-made noise out here other than the ones we made ourselves? Once in a lifetime experience for me.
If you hold my place while I'm gone, I will kiss your face when I'm back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face and your back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I will kiss your face when I'm back. If you hold my place while I'm gone, I'll kiss your face and your back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back. You can come with me if you want, we can leave and we won't come back.
Time's unruly when the spirits move me.